If it's just about what you can gain from somebody else, they're going to smell it.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of the Jeff Heilman Project. I'm Jessica Heilman, and seated next to me, should you be listening and not watching us on YouTube, is the one and only Jeff Heilman. How was your
What's
week?
up, everybody? Good.
And yes, I'm going to ask it again.
It's Wednesday. Like my week's like 27% over.
Okay. Since we recorded last, how's your week been?
It's been good. Closing business, moving stuff forward, working on a big deal, growing, working the consulting, working on quantum influence. That's the thing that keeps coming back. And I've got a couple of mock clients who are guys I've done consulting with in the past that I brought that up with. And again, quantum influence is the branded concept that I've been working on for the last 6 weeks around what to do, what to teach your children to do for relevance in a post-AI apocalyptic universe. Nice little bedtime reading, bedtime story time.
That's good. Well, we hope that you all who are listening are being positively influenced by the Jeff Heilman Project.
Yeah, I mean, this show is all about creating something for posterity for the kids so that when we're dead or no longer able to talk,
we will be immortalized forever.
Yeah. Somebody can always push play and listen to me talk, right?
Well,
maybe that's for myself. I don't know. But
Andrew and I were talking before we got started recording about, just like format, ideas moving forward. Now that we're in our going from, 0 to 100 was one thing, episodes, and now we're going from 100 to 200. I'm learning about being a better host or speaker or co-host or whatever. And so we're excited. I'm excited about the future of the Jeff Heilman Project.
I remember how uncomfortable it felt at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've been on camera before. I talk all the time. I talk for a living. And it was weird. It was weird being on these cameras in front of all of you and laying down tracks. And Andrew has made some comments that, well, why don't you tell the folks at home what you've noticed as far as just the way that we show up on camera? Yeah, I would love to hear. Andrew's the producer. He's the one that does all the editing. What have you noticed in the last 6 months versus the first year and a half as far as production volume or how we're doing talking or whatever you think is of interest?
Yeah, I mean, with the start of everything, it's only going to get better with practice and repetition. We were brand new to the space, and we didn't quite know what our niche was, and we were trying different things and always experimenting, and to an extent, that level of that form of production and that form of writing is important to keep a show creative. But in the last 6 months, I felt that we found what we're good at, and we're going to keep trying to do what we're good at and try to improve it every chance we get, but not stray too far from the course at this point.
I think that's fair and well said, Andrew. You're very articulate about these things.
Yes.
You spend a lot of time. You probably spend 10 to 15 hours per episode editing to make sure that the edits and the credits and special effects and
are
everything
newly licensed. I think we mentioned it last time, but if we didn't, round of applause to Andrew for getting his license.
He got his driver's license. He did a great job driving me home
missing
from the
two,
dealership.
so almost practically perfect
in every
practically perfect driver. Good job, Andrew. So today's episode.
What are we talking about, Jess?
Well, we're finishing the acronym, and I know it's been a long one. Brace yourself, people. Today is the last. This is the H in the acronym of health. And it is actually about hand-to-hand. I think it is really important because it's networking. So today, if you were going to, just because we promised y'all, we're going to finish an acronym. We're going to spell it out. I'm not going to leave you hanging on T.
H-E-A-L-T.
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 I'm not going to leave you on H.E.A.L.T.
I'm not going to leave you on H.E.A.L.T.
We are going to finish it out by talking about networking and the hand-to-hand of, success. And that's what these episodes on health have been about, is healthy, like being optimal health. We want the TB12 of your life to manifest itself. And in that is, we can't go on. You have to have a healthy network. You cannot be successful on an island, not knowing anybody.
I wonder if I can. I think I can find it. If I can, Andrew can ask when he's editing. Ask me, Andrew, for the visual that I made 15 years ago now when I was speaking at Jubilee on a Saturday about your network is your net worth. And I can tell you that for the first 10 years of my career, I had to cold call to get jobs that paid me $15 an hour. And for the last 20 years, my network has got me jobs that pay multiple six figures a year. And I have not had to look outside of my network for a job, I want to think since 2003 was the last time. So it's been 22 years since I've had to look outside of my own network for a multi-six figure career job. And that's individual contributor. I'm not managing anybody. I can barely manage myself. So this is not VP level stuff. This is multi-six figure income as an individual contributor in sales. And for 22 consecutive years now, I've been gainfully employed in that capacity simply because of the network of people that I've been able to hang out with.
How does one begin to build a network? Like if you're going to take, since this is a podcast of posterity, and you're going to talk to, Washington's having a birthday. Happy birthday, Osh. And he's turning 17.
Amazing.
What do you tell a 17, 18, 19-year-old who's not, how do you tell them how to start building a network?
I had a conversation about this not long ago with a friend who's also engaging in some networking activities coming up. And it starts with being a great person, or at least wanting to be a great person, because it would be self-serving for me to say, well, I'm a great person, that's why I have a great network. But what I can tell you is I started building a network by wanting to be a great human being. I wanted to win so bad. I just wanted to have friends. I wanted people to like me. I felt I had so much pain growing up from family issues that when I actually got to the real world, I was desperate for friendship, for camaraderie, and eventually would become desperate for making more money and taking care of family. But in the beginning, it was I just wanted to have friends. I just wanted to be somebody that people liked and could get along with. And so I dedicated myself from, I would say, when did we stop listening to books on tape? I mean, we still haven't.
I listen to Audible books now.
I listen to Audible all the time, but when did we stop listening to tape? Like, it wasn't until maybe 2007, 2008.
Did tapes get replaced by CDs?
They
Because
did.
I don't remember.
They did.
Yeah, I guess we had a lot of CDs.
I don't think I stopped listening to traditional tapes and CDs until probably 2007, and I started in 1994. So 94
I would
to 04,
probably say that, like,
13 to 15 years.
with the disinvention, what do you call taking an invention out, when they started taking the CD players out of cars?
Yeah.
Going straight to the MP3, like whatever year that was probably really when we stopped.
Yeah,
Because I do remember you going and buying a little Walkman and you're like, I'm going to keep listening to my tapes. But eventually it got replaced by MP3.
Audible and MP3, yeah.
And Audible.
But I would say still, like, I dedicated, going back to the original question of how do you start with a network?
Started?
I think that books will make you smarter, and I think tapes will make you more fun. And if you want to be able to get along with people and have a great network, you need to be smart and have something of value to add. And you need to have a bedside manner so that you can get along with. The job that I've got right now, I got because I was a good friend. I became a good human being decades before I met this person. And then when I met him, he was a very, very busy executive. It took me a year to get a coffee meeting with him.
I remember that.
And I never even thought twice about it. I'm like, of course I'll just keep rescheduling and rescheduling and rescheduling. And I was happy to do it because this person was a very successful, high profile person in my ecosystem who was orders of magnitude more successful than I was. And he was kind about it. He wasn't like, go away, kid, you bother me. It was like, hey, I'm really sorry. I can't do this. I'm triple booked. I'm like, who's triple booked at 5:30 in the morning, 26 weeks in a row on a Thursday? Like that just does, but that's the situation. He was running a business in Europe at the time and had to be on calls. And so.
And I love that story because you literally met your the current boss by walking down the trail, and you're just walking. I mean, you walk down the trail all the time, but
Yeah.
like there was, you thought within yourself, oh, that like guy looks nice, or that guy looks cool.
Yeah, his
And
dog
so-
actually made the introduction.
And so you just like, hey, you say hi, and you're friendly and he's friendly, but being friendly, it's an art. It takes practice, like you're saying, like being approachable, like becoming somebody. I love I don't know his name, sorry, my dude, but the kid, I call him a kid because he's young, on that School of Hard Knocks, where he just like walks up to people and straight out of the
yeah.
bat, he's
Excuse
like,
me,
when was
sir.
the first year that
Excuse
you
me,
made a
sir.
million?
Yeah, how old were you when you made your first million?
Exactly.
And the guy's like,
The guy's like, what?
The
Who
guys
are
are
you
all
from?
like,
but
I was in the mafia.
I
Did you
saw
see
that one today. Yeah, that was funny. He said, "Are you from the news?"
Are you from the news? Nope, I'm here to help kids. I got 12 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And that
Totally de-escalated that. But the fact that it's just like conditioning. Like, I'm gonna say hi, and or noticing something about somebody. Like, we'll notice, like, oh, that, like, subconsciously you get to the point to where you're like, that guy's approachable, that guy's not. That guy looks friendly. That guy is saying, stay
it's
away.
pattern recognition.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've probably got not quite 5,000 followers on LinkedIn. Most of those people I've worked with.
Yeah.
I've got another 4,000 or 5,000 people in my phone. I've got another.
People build networks by getting fired, but no.
Yeah, exactly. So I got 5,000 followers on Instagram. I got 5,000 followers on LinkedIn. I got 1,500 followers on Facebook. Twitter's nothing right now, and then I've got like 3,500 contacts on my phone. So if I had to come up with an email list of 10,000 people to do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
And
you probably actually talked to every single one of those.
I've talked to way more than that volume of people just in my career of doing things. So, but if you make the habit out of being the kind of person other people want to do business with, that's the foundation of all of it, because then you're somebody that people want to work with. I've had people call me up out of the blue because they heard I was out of work to get me a job. Steve Mason was that way. He got me the job. He got me the introduction to his old CEO, Iman Lee, at H.E.A.L.T.H, because he heard that I was out of work and that was just not okay with him. He wanted to make sure that I could have an opportunity. Paul Serban got me the PSS job at Cisco, from Cisco to Cisco. I'm trying to think of when Rohit and I started H.E.A.L.T.H. That was after I lost the job at Extra Team, which I got from Steve Murphy. Got me the job at Extra Team. And then
that's not even to mention like your side, like your consulting, like all
the consulting stuff,
the consulting business.
Like Mike Downs, when I did consulting for A&I, Mike Downs got me the consulting gig. The relationship that I got with Greg Seltzer at Cisco when I was doing consulting there. Rebecca Javins, who's my executive sponsor now at Cisco. Like all these people are just people from my network.
I'm so excited. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, I'm flailing, or who are listening, I'm flailing because I'm so excited, because what I want you to do is I want you to tell the story, because it was one of those Chronos moments. Which one's the one that makes the like impact?
I think it's Chronos. Yeah.
Okay, it was a moment in time where it like set a lot of things in motion network wise, and it came just out of a let's just go see a moment, and maybe you could tell the story about our trip to Ojai, and knowing that getting things done was like, how did that, we're on a family road trip, right?
So we left late. So her dad lives in Rancho Santa Fe,
Well, he was living in
Mirage.
Rancho Mirage.
He was living in Rancho
Springs,
Mirage, Palm Springs at the time. And
I love this story, you guys. And this is a good one for posterity.
And we have, it's a road trip.
Yeah.
From San Francisco, San Jose Bay Area down to Rancho Mirage is like, it's like 12 hours. It's like, because the traffic just through Pasadena, it could take you 2.5 hours to get from North LA just to Rancho Mirage, just through the traffic on the 210, I think it is really bad. So this is one of those times where we're leaving late on a holiday weekend. We left at, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon instead of 5 in the morning like we normally do. And so we're driving, and I'm just an early riser. I don't like driving at night in the dark. It's hard for me to stay awake, and I don't want Jessica feeling like she had to drive. So we're driving home, and we get through LA after 4 hours of holiday Sunday night traffic going 3 miles an hour on the 5. And I see this sign for Ojai, and I thought, that looks like a place. No, actually, no. What it was, I
booked a hotel.
You booked a hotel on your phone
Yeah.
back in the day, and Ojai. That's interesting. And then I remember Ojai. I know somebody that lives in Ojai. Who do I know that lives in Ojai? And I remembered it was David Allen, the author of Getting Things Done, who I did not know at the time.
Did you read in like the back of the, maybe the
it
back
was in the
cover?
back of the book.
Yeah,
it was in the author description.
David Allen lives in.
Which,
but it was
who reads the author description of the? But I did.
Because you had spent like a whole year.
Yeah, I'd spent a year studying Getting Things Done, and trying to figure out how to
applying his whole system,
all of that. And so I show up. So we go and stay the night. Had a great time at the Ojai Inn and Spa, and I got to meet very briefly Anne Hathaway, who was also at the spa that day, going and getting a massage. So I went and got a massage, and not with Anne Hathaway. That was separate side of that.
But oh my gosh, that hotel.
It was so
amazing.
nice. It was. I think it was like from the 30s, 30s. They had these little bungalows.
It was a saltwater pool.
Yeah,
and the kids were freaking
crazy.
out, and there was all this bougainvillea, and we got like upgraded to a villa, and oh my gosh, Ojai Inn and Spa.
Ojai Inn and Spa.
If you're listening,
that was a cool place to stay. Plus the sunsets, the angle of the sun based on the altitude.
Skies.
It's some of the best sunsets you'll ever see on the West Coast, and they're known for that based on a certain elevation, certain angle of the sun, certain cloud cover at a certain part on the coast. It's fantastic. So the next morning I wake up and I'm like, I think David Allen lives here. Let's see if he's got an office. Turns out he's got an office. And so I'm like, I'm just going to go. So I stalked this dude.
It must have been a Monday because
it would have been a Monday because we would have been driving home.
I remember I took the kids. We found his office in downtown Ojai.
Yeah,
and
spelled O-J-A-I,
I dropped you off and got like Subway. I remember going and getting Subway sandwiches for the kids.
Yeah.
And I dropped you off.
I just disappeared for 45 minutes.
And you were like, "Well, Dad," I'm like, "Well, Dad's not coming back out, so."
Yeah.
I guess things are okay.
I don't know if we even had cell phones at that point.
Yeah, I'm going to go get food.
Maybe. I'm sure we did.
The kids are like, Mommy, I'm hungry. So what was happening while I was in the parking lot?
I met not David Allen, but David Allen had hired an executive from GE to run his consulting business and basically manage all the inbound, manage the licensing agreements for the content, the book rights, all those things, so that David could effectively start moving towards semi-retirement and just doing a handful of really high-end events. And David Allen, New York Times bestselling author of Getting Things Done, sold millions of copies, did really, really well as an executive peak performance and time management productivity coach, writes this book, Getting Things Done, which my brother had told me about in 2008. And so I go and I meet this CEO. His name's Mike Williams. Mike Williams, by the way, just did another book, which I'm reading, I think, for the 4th time. It's called Doing to Done. It's very good. Lots of pictures, lots of real simple workflow. A really good book for kids. And he even did the Getting Things Done for teenagers, but I like the Doing to Done book a lot. And so I don't know if we did a podcast there.
You did. You recorded it right there.
Right there.
He was like, hey.
He's like, yeah, let's do a little interview. I think it was more of an interview than a podcast. Yeah. And then we did an official podcast later that got posted to the main David Allen site. And this was like one of David Allen's maybe 30 podcasts, the first 30 that they did.
Yeah,
so
and he's told us that podcast is like one of their most
listened to podcasts, and we'll put a link in the description to the David Allen podcast. I think it was episode 14 actually. Which you think about that, like we have 100 episodes. We're nobodies, and we have 100 episodes.
Yeah,
and I was episode number 14 of the David Allen Weekly or the David Allen Monthly podcast with Mike Williams, who was the CEO at the time.
let's just go see it.
Yeah,
Like,
let's go see this dude.
because of the
And he was
habit
like,
of building a network and being like, hey,
Yeah.
this is a cool guy. We're in the area. Let's just check him
let's go
out.
see
Like,
let's go see what kind of dude he is. And Mike Williams is a phenomenal
Oh, my
guy. I've had
gosh.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner with him half a dozen times over the years, and we did another full length podcast. You know, Mike Williams is such a super quality
Oh, my
guy.
gosh, yeah.
Lives in a tiny town on the coast and just has a simple home life, but he's this big wig corporate
But
executive.
out of that connection, out of that initial first TO, if you will, like he was there.
He
didn't have to
consulted
be
Tony Hsieh
there.
at Zappos personally for
Oh, yeah.
4 years, the late Tony Hsieh, God rest his soul. Oh, and then I end up connecting him with Dan Rome.
Yeah.
I reached out to Dan Rome, who I was a fan of the work that he did.
I reached out to the Levitts from Freakonomics, and they responded, and they were like,
Freakonomics and the World is Flat.
yeah, Freakonomics. They responded and were like, so thankful. And you know,
and getting a chance to meet like Malcolm Gladwell or Charles Duhigg from Power of Habit. I mean, these folks are real human beings.
Nathan Miller from the Stitches book.
Yes,
he did
Nathan
that.
Miller from Stitch.
And but those who are
And,
listening, if you're
Rob
new,
Angel.
I was gonna say if you're new to our podcast, we've had quite a few guests, including. Let's go through and because this is a networking episode. Let's network for our buddies and
people from
celebrate the
Oracle,
people that we've interviewed.
Startup CEOs.
We've had Rob Angel, who invented Pictionary, on the show.
Yeah.
We've had
Jeff Bush, founder of Overflowworks, who'd sold that and retired. We had Michelle Trail on.
Yep.
Christopher was on for H.E.A.L.T.H.
Christopher Johnson was our first.
Was he our first guest?
Yeah, yes,
best
he
man
was.
at my
We got
wedding.
a picture of him over on the wall from our first guest on the.
Yeah. So I was talking about this to another guy a couple of days ago too. Being an influencer is a task. Having influence is a metric, you could say, how big your influence is. Our influence is not very big. We've got maybe 10,000 total contacts and 300 or 400 subscribers on this channel and some folks that tune in and listen to the podcast. But what we are doing is we're doing the things that are going down the path of content creation. You know, Washington's 17 years old, and he's got 4,000 subscribers already on his YouTube channel after just 6 months. Madelaine's got multiple TikTok reels.
Hey, she has one TikTok that's had 1 million views.
Yeah, 1.9 million. I was looking at it the other day.
Yeah.
1,900,000 views. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we have to look at what is the industry that people are in. Like, the industry people have been in for the last 35, 40 years has been technology and software, and we've made a great living doing that. But that's not the end. The next is content creation. The next is, are we making the kinds of art that make us indispensable and that set us on a collision course with a personal brand and allow that personal brand to help kind of that reality distortion field of what we believe is possible for the sponsors, the people that pay to make this content happen. Nobody's paying. I am the sponsor. I'm welcome.
Sponsored by Jeff.
Sponsored by me. I'm the sponsor for this podcast right now.
McDonald's not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. No, I paid them actually for this drink. We don't get any free drinks from McDonald's yet. But I do think that if we look at the what to do to survive in this post-AI apocalyptic universe, a network is a really important part of it. And it's not just your subscriber base. It's who's in your circle of influence. And we've got a lot of really good friends in business that have kept us gainfully employed, thank goodness.
And even just this morning, I remembered, because we talk to people, and I remembered the server this morning. Love him. We go to the same place.
Lawton.
Part of networking is going to the same place over again. And Lawton does watch, or at least he had a link to our podcast. But I've been having a problem with a product that I'm developing, and he has expertise in that area. And I was just like, dude, do you know how to do this? Like, how can I make this product? You've made products like this in the past, and you're, in my world, you're the expert on this. And he was like, oh yeah, let me see, let me help. So like having the ability to, one of my most popular reels, I'm talking about how when you have a strength and you partner with somebody else who has a strength, you both don't focus on, you don't say to this person, hey, you're weak in this area and I'm strong and let's get together. I'm looking for other people who are strong in areas that I need the strength. Like, we're going to pair up in our strengths. Like, let's come together and be stronger, like even stronger still. Like, I need strong people in areas where I'm not going to focus on where I'm weak. I'm going to focus on where you're strong. And then let's come together and let's like be strong together. I don't need to learn how to do that. What I need to learn is how to talk to you and get to know you better and be like, hey, bro, let's go do this thing together and let's take our strengths. It's like we're being strength finders and looking for other people that are strong in areas.
Yeah, and I would say that if we look at the simplest form of a network would be a marriage.
Yeah.
And you've got things that you're really good at that I'm not good at, and I've got things that I'm good at that add value too. So, you're great at running a household. You're great at cooking. You're great at raising kids. You're great at being patient and poopy diapers and laundry and managing people coming over to the house and figuring out, what social groups that we need to be included in and how to make sure that kids get back and forth to church and activities and all those things. You're great at those things. I could be great at those things if I had the time and bandwidth, but I don't care about them as much as I care about building business and feeding a family and being a provider, being a pioneer. Those are my strengths. So when we put those two strengths together, two can live more cost effectively than one in that respect, or two people living separately. You can live more cost effectively living together. And so that's kind of the premise of a network, is the family unit. And so when I look at the family unit of community outside of your direct family as it relates to your work environment, work ecosystem, I mean, still, to be able to get a job with a handful of phone calls anytime I need a job for 2 decades, simply because of 4 or 5 years that I spent working at Cisco, and then that just compiles on top of that. And I've never wanted to really move into CEO level jobs. I've never interviewed for those types of jobs before. But if I wanted to make a career move, if I wanted to stay in corporate America as my primary and move up the ladder, my network would be there to support me. And just like I'm there to support them, I sent 20 letters of introduction for a friend of mine who's looking for a C-level job, who will actually be on this podcast a little bit later, a week ago. And he didn't ask me for it. He just said, yeah, if you know anybody. I'm like, if I know anybody, yeah, happy to help you. Boom, 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 boom. And create opportunities for that person. And then I basically said, when you get through those 20, let me know and we'll get you another 20. And I had a friend, there's a guy named Aaron Davies Morris, who, when I reached out and sent an email out to 300 or 400 people saying I was looking for work, he sent me 10 letters of introduction and got me 10 interviews with 10 hiring managers with open headcount for free. Yeah. Just because he cared about me and wanted to see me taken care of. And so obviously when he was looking for work a couple of months ago, I did the same thing for him. I think people want to help people they know. Mm-hmm. And you just have to ask. But if you're going to ask, you got to have something on deposit with that person for months or years in advance before you start asking. A network is not just about what it can do. Now, I've mentioned a couple of times that I could get a job pretty much anytime I want now. I believe that I can, right? I mean, I've proven in 10 job changes that I can get a job just through my network. But it's not just about that. If it's just about what you can gain from somebody else, they're going to smell it. And really, my purpose for getting to know people and building a network is because I just really like people. And I've done the work as a person to read and become the kind of person who I think gets along pretty well with others. And so I feel like I have a lot to offer, even if somebody else doesn't reciprocate.
Well, as we close out today, as we close out health, as we close out, I guess that if you take away anything from today, it's not what you know, it's who you know and who you are.
Who knows you?
Exactly, and who you are when you meet those people that matter. So God bless you guys. Have an awesome week. And we are looking forward to the future of the podcast at the Jeff Heilman Project. We love you for liking, subscribing, sharing, doing
We love
all
you
the
anyway.
things. So we appreciate you guys. We appreciate all of you, and extra appreciate those of you who have gone the effort to do the work. So
Thanks so
God
much for
bless
being with
you.
us on
Have
the
an
Jeff Heilman
awesome week.
Project.
See you next time.
See ya.